Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Pedro.
This is Jackson.
And you're watching Solid Foundation. In this episode, man, we want to talk about the current market right now. And, we understand the rates are lowering down a little bit.
Yeah.
Which is definitely going to switch things around for what we're currently seeing right now.
Yeah.
So that's what we want to talk about. We want to get you sellers and buyers prepared for this type of market so that you win and have a lot more luck, when it comes to actually winning offers.
Absolutely.
Even, selling listings and all that good stuff.
Yeah, exactly. So 2024 is going to be big, like you said. I think the interest rates coming down over the year is going to cause a lot of different situations.
Yep.
The last couple of months have been slower, and I think understanding that supply and demand,
Yep.
I think that's what is going to drive it. With lower interest rates, you have higher demand.
Exactly.
Right? We're already in a supply issue. So, over the last 6 months, Pedro, what have you seen, that really helped buyers? Because I think buyers were at an advantage.
Yeah.
So what have you seen that could change coming into the next year?
Yeah, so what I noticed in 2023 for the most part is the opportunity for buyers to get a really good home for less than asking price.
Yeah.
And maybe even some concessions from the sellers towards the buyers to help them with their closing costs.
Definitely.
That's what I noticed. But I also understand going back to COVID time when the market was totally different than what it is right now. It's kind of, we're kind of headed to that, which is more of a seller's market, giving, the sellers a little bit more of a chance to, for the highest bidder, if you will.
Yeah.
So that's what I want to, this is what, we want to prepare the buyers and sellers for this. And I think in 2024, you're going to see a lot more activity from buyers, which means a lot more competition as well.
Right.
Right. So what about you? What did you see and where do you see it going?
Yeah, no, for sure. Last 6 months or so into 2023, it's very tough with higher rates. I think even too, you had some sellers that were putting it off. They were like, let's just wait, because they knew their listing might sit on the market for a little bit longer than it has been in the past. So you had a combination. So what I think is going to happen, you have a lot of pent up demand. Either sellers that want to sell and upgrade, or sellers that just want to cash out, make their money. Then also buyers, first time buyers, big. I think that's still a lot of first time buyer need, and there hasn't been a lot of supply for them. And they're again waiting for the rates. Everyone's telling them it's going to come down. So, I really think, like you said, it's going to start to get more and more competitive, and we may turn it back into a seller's market.
Yeah, man. So I want to talk about the supply and demand, and I want to dive into, how to get people ready for this as far as like strategies for sellers.
Yeah.
What are some strategies that you would tell a client of yours, a seller, a listing? What would you tell them?
Yeah, the biggest thing, even though there is pent up demand, you don't want to overprice your listing.
Right.
I think coming in and not overpricing is going to be massive this for 2024. If you price it right, we're seeing stuff move, and I think if you price it right, you're going to get multiple offers as those rates come down. I think more people are going to be interested, and you're still going to make money. That's the thing, that equity has grown so quickly in these last 3 years, that if you've had a home and you're thinking about selling, when those rates start to go, you're going to get multiple.
Exactly.
So,
and I really like what you said about pricing it right, because I think a strategy going back to when the rates were super low, a lot of people were actually pricing it below market, let's say $5,000 or so below. And then what would happen is you would have a lot of people wanting this house and actually outbidding each other. So the seller ended up actually netting more money than they were even trying to at the beginning because of that strategy right there.
Yeah, and so, a lot of it is going to be a seller's advantage. However, you buyers out there, don't get worried. Don't get, super upset and be like, I'm never going to buy a house. We're going to cover a couple of strategies for buyers too, because that's what's crucial. If as a buyer going in, some strategies to win those offers and to beat other people trying to buy that same house, you're going to come out ahead, and you're still going to be happy, even though you may pay a little over asking, or you may not get as much concessions. You still won the house,
exactly.
Right? And that's the goal.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people, we always talked about in 2023, date the rate.
Yeah.
Right. And I think you're going to maybe see that again, but in a different case. A lot of people would be okay paying $5,000 more for the home as long as they secure a solid rate that they like, right?
Exactly.
And that they can keep up with every month. So I want to talk about some of those negotiation strategy for buyers now. So just to wrap up the sellers, make sure you keep an eye on the price. Don't overprice it. Of course, like always, make sure your home looks beautiful. Make sure the pictures are on point.
Yep.
Make sure it's clean.
Yep.
Open houses.
Well, I think too, yeah, before we go too far from that too, like your competition is big. Like when the supply starts to outweigh demand, which we may or may not see in 2024, because like I said, there's a lot of pent up sellers too. So if we get a big, huge flood in the Alamo Ranch neighborhood, right? It's a popular neighborhood here. And if a lot of people list the same house all of a sudden at the same time, you're gonna have a lot of competition. So that's another thing to watch out for in the coming year is once a lot of people start to flood the market, make sure you price maybe 1,000 or 2,000 under that guy that's just like you, and you're gonna attract them better.
Be aware of what they have, the competition. If they have something better, maybe upgrades that you don't have, don't try to go for the same price as them. Be mindful of what's out there and where you need to be in order to bring in people, right? So I'm glad we got that out the way. But now for buyers, for the most part. So I'll tell you some of my strategies back when the market was different and it was a lot lower rates. Some of the things we used to do, it was a lot of competition, a lot of multiple buyers fighting over the same home. So a lot of things, the strategy was to go a little bit above asking price, right? In order to have a better chance.
Definitely.
And I mean, also the type of loan came a lot into play. Some loans are a little bit more strict when it comes to appraisal than others. So that also counts, you know, in the seller's mind, right? If they have a good listing agent, they're probably going to tell them, hey, this is a good offer, but this one here might be a little bit better because of this, that, and this, right? So those two things are very important. But also, I mean, if you can cover some of your own concessions and closing costs, and maybe that would prevent you from winning the house, and you can cover those closing costs as a buyer, you should probably cover those closing costs to give you a better chance of winning.
Yeah, I agree. Like, I think that's going to be the biggest thing is for you guys out there, you may want to budget a little bit extra, right? If we're coming into a competitive market, we have multiple offers on any listing you go to try to make an offer on, you want to have a little more in your pocket because you may have to cover closing. You may have to do some of those repairs that you could have maybe got the seller to do in a different market.
Exactly.
But for this, you got to make sure you budget it for yourself. So that's going to give you a lot of leverage. I think too, people think it has to be a lot of money, and I'm telling you, $1,000, $2,000 can make a big difference in winning. So, so like, you know, you don't have to go crazy out there. You don't have to sell everything. So that's another strategy that I had a lot was people would waive appraisal, right? Like you said, the loan type. If they're a conventional loan and they're putting, you know, more than 20% down, normally they didn't really care about the appraisal, right? You know, it could come a little bit low and they would have the cash reserves. But that's something that is normally a last ditch, right? If you have the money and you're able to do that, it's something you can do, but waiving that or even waiving inspection period is very risky. So make sure you have to do that before you put it on the table in negotiation, you know.
Be mindful, you know, how bad do I want this home? And do I want it bad enough for me to not have a time to do an inspection and to lose my option to terminate unrestrictedly? Is it worth it? If it is, then by all means have a discussion with your agent. Maybe that's your way into the home. But if it's not, I mean, there's always more houses, and at the end of the day, I don't want to put a client in a bad position. I don't want him to come back to me later on and say, hey, I actually had an inspection done after I bought it and we found out that this and this is wrong. What do I do now? I definitely don't want that for my clients or for me as an agent.
And you're absolutely right. I think something too, Pedro, you could talk a little bit about this. You know I experienced it in the last, you know, we've been doing the business for a while, and we have people who bought maybe only 2 or 3 years ago, and when it was really hot, and when they had to overpay, and they had to sell everything, and you know, give them everything, and a lot of money out of pocket to just get in the house. Now you have those same people that may need to sell. If they have a bad situation and you guys need to sell quickly after you bought, but you sold the boat, as we say, for everything, then you may come out negative even after 2 or 3 years in the home. So, I'm sure you have people reach out, and it's tough because now they're behind.
It's tough. I mean, for the simple reason that maybe, in a crazy market like we had a few years back, some people were going above price 20, 30, 40K.
Yeah.
Right? Fast forward to now, it's been 2-3 years. They still haven't recouped that money in equity yet.
Exactly.
So now we're looking to sell, and we also have to add agents fees, all different type of fees that we're not accounted for. So now the person may not even net what they paid for it. They might even be lower.
Yeah, you might come out upside down.
Exactly.
So be careful with these. We have a couple of options and ideas, that you can do, but that's one big thing is, be careful with how much you do or left and right, because normally we can find you a different house, right? We can find you a house that will work and you won't have to sell everything.
Or maybe your time might be a better thing to just wait another year and grow a little bit more equity.
That's true too.
To where you can net a little bit more money. So just because it's a hot market, it doesn't mean everyone has to go out there and sell or buy. But it's always a good time to buy or sell at the same time. Right? Just be mindful of your situation. Go back to your agent. Make sure you have someone that understands your goals. It is not just necessarily chasing a deal. They're chasing the actual relationship to keep you happy and to make you make a better investment.
Yep, exactly. Right? No, that's the thing too. At the end of the day, people do get a little too competitive. And we've had people do it. I know I have. And you try to go 100K over list price, and we're like, whoa, you got to be sure, you got to be 100% that this is going to be maybe your forever house, or is that worth paying that extra for the lower rate?
Right.
People are waiting for that lower rate, but if you end up having to overpay by several tens of thousands, was that rate even really worth it?
Exactly. When you could have refinanced 2 years from now for free with whatever lender, and maybe that would have been a lot of better deal than you jumping on this with 40 grand out of your pocket. Right. So that's a great point. But I want to talk about what happens when there's multiple offers, but also let's say your client, they didn't win the offer yet, but maybe the sellers are entertaining your client's offer and they counter with something. How would you go about that?
Yeah, no, that's a great point. So most of the time this happens. Even in a regular market, I get counter offers all the time.
I think I've only gotten one that worked out from the moment I accepted and they agreed and it was signed.
Me too. Now, normally you're going to get a counter. So when people talk about counter offer, it's something from the seller directly. Like the seller says, hey, we'll accept your offer if it's this, which is actually a pretty big opportunity, because if it's close numbers, if they're sending you a counter, they probably don't have better competition.
They're entertaining your offer, which that's an opportunity to work it out, get back in the huddle with your agent, discuss what would be the best case scenario. And something I always did as an agent, always start real tight. Start real low.
I agree.
If I'm removing things of my client's offer, I'm starting very low, removing the cheapest thing I can. Maybe my client pays for the HOA docs. Maybe my client pays for the survey. Maybe my client removes the home warranty out of the contract, $600. And then I get to the bigger things, right? But I want to start low. I don't just want to give into the seller immediately and fold and say, yeah, we'll pay everything as long as you can work with us.
Never
want to do that.
That's a great point, and I think it's something we should really I want to highlight in this video is you don't have to just think about purchase price, closing day, how much you're putting down, the big stuff. Like there are so many fees and transaction costs that are involved that you can write out. Just like Pedro said, you got home warranty, you can offer to pay for the survey. You can put a little bit more earnest money down, which really
more option period,
or more option period money. At the end of the day, you can use some of these numbers too to make it look really good, but at the end of the day, they still go to you, the buyer, at the closing, right? Because you can put as much earnest money down as you want. You can put the whole down payment as your earnest money, and that looks really good. Like that's attractive to a seller, but it just goes to you at the closing table. So if you're going to close, you might as well write it that way, because it's going to be the most attractive.
And also another quick little tip. Maybe all the offers that the seller received, they have a 10-day inspection period.
Yeah.
Maybe your agent agent is so on top of their game where they can almost guarantee that they can get all that done within 5 days. Well, then that's another way in. Maybe you're coming in asking for 5 days as an inspection period instead of 10.
Exactly.
That looks more attractive to the seller. Why? Well, because they don't have to necessarily wait that long to know if the buyer is actually going to pull through at the end and buy it. Right? So the quicker for them, the better. Also, if you're going above asking price and offers, and you can cover the difference, it doesn't look the best when you're going 10 grand above asking price, but you're still asking for the house to appraise at that higher number. If you're going above indirectly as a listing agent, I want to see that the buyer that sent me this offer can cover the additional price that they offered, right? Meaning if the house is 230K, and I get an offer for 237, and they wanted to appraise at 237, I mean, is that really a good offer?
Yeah. Right.
Do the comp support that price of 237, or am I going to put my seller in a bad position where it won't appraise, and most likely they'll have to lower the price down to make it work?
Right.
Or what if I get an offer where it's 230 asking price, they come to me with a 235 offer, and they're saying as long as it appraises at 230, we'll pay the 5 grand out of pocket.
No matter
That's
what.
a better offer.
Exactly.
You know, so those little thingies play a lot, and it also goes back to having a good realtor on your side.
Exactly.
It's always going to go back to that at the end of the day.
Right. The other thing too that people use a lot, you know, when pay attention when you're going to showing. You know, we say a lot. You know, your first inspection of the home is when you first see it.
Exactly.
Right. So the biggest thing is pay attention. Is there still furniture in there? Right. Is there still photos on the wall? Does it still look like somebody lived there? The reason why you want to take note of that is because then you can maybe structure your offer. If you don't need to move in immediately, you can offer a lease back. You can say, hey, I'll let you stay in your own home. You know, sometimes for $0. I know plenty of my buyers have offered it for free. We'll let you stay after closing. You get all the money. We'll let you stay there for 2 weeks while you move or move out or close on the other home, whatever they may need to do. And that's given my buyer an advantage because nobody else offered the lease back. Even if they offered less money, but they're saying, hey, you'll stay there for free for 2 weeks, that may work better for the seller. And you want to have those conversations with your agent and your agent to the selling agent also. So that's a big one. I want a lot without having to go too much extra money.
That is a great point because we know for a fact that if someone is selling, they're not selling to go rent. They're selling to go buy something.
Especially in this market.
In this market, right? So they're looking to sell and take advantage of the rates also and go buy something else. Maybe that one doesn't close until a month after they close on their actual listing.
Exactly.
Who is going to offer those 30 days for a low price? Maybe if you negotiate it properly, you probably can get away with the seller covering most of everything on the contract as long as you give them those 30 days for what, $30 a day or 50?
No, exactly.
Maybe even free.
I've gotten listing price offers where the buyer didn't have to go above because they offered a lease back. I mean, that was the winning, and that's, you know, what they said. It said, we chose your offer because you let us stay in the home. And so that's an option you can do. And it's a huge help for every seller, right? Because like I said, when you close on that house, they get the money. So they're in their house for free. They've got the money. Now they can go spend it. Yeah. Right. And so it helps them a ton. So that was a big one for me, is that we won a lot doing
that. Okay. Well, that's great. I mean, I think we covered some really great strategy so far. Yeah. But I want to talk about, let's say, you know, we all have out-of-town buyers. You know, when the rates drop, we get people from all over the country, maybe even out of the country, that want to buy in a specific place, maybe San Antonio. And a lot of them are not here in person. So I want to talk about some of the tools that we can offer as agents that hopefully your agent would offer. And if not, then come to us. But yeah, some of those tools, and one of those being a virtual tour.
Absolutely.
Right? And I want to, you know, for me, Jackson, I know we all have different ways of doing it, but a lot of my clients during the COVID times, they were relying heavy on my quality of virtual tours. Absolutely. And I took it with pride. You know, I treated it like an actual buyer's consultation in person. Yep. A lot of times I would call them via Zoom. FaceTime, whatever, and do it with them. Or if they, for whatever reason, couldn't join me on a call, then I would record the video of the home, really good quality video, detailed video, not just walking in and out super fast. Very detailed. I'm opening, you know, the HVAC unit. I'm opening the water heater closet. I'm turning on faucets while I'm recording the video. I'm checking things because I want my client to know that I'm trying to help them find something, but I'm also I'm inspecting the house on their behalf. I'm not a licensed inspector, but yes, the first time you put your eyes on it is the first inspection.
Exactly.
So I'm doing that on their behalf. I'm talking about some of the features in the neighborhood. I might even record on the video the area, the neighborhood, not just the home. Maybe every house can look nice, but what about the surrounding areas?
Right.
Can they see how you come in and out of the neighborhood? Can you show the amenities of the neighborhood?
Yep.
Can you point out some defects on the home that maybe they have a question about? Or maybe some obvious things to the agent that you can see when you walk in, a big old crack or something. You should not avoid those things.
Right.
You should come from the beginning, address it, and then if they still want it, then you further on proceed with the process. But that was super huge for me, and I think I grew my business so much by investing in a quality video, but also just making it accessible to my clients at any moment. I would upload my videos to YouTube, and I would send my clients a link to the video so that they can share it with their whole family. A lot of people, it's not just them who's deciding. They wanted to run it by 10 people before they make a decision. So everybody was able to watch it, share the link. There's the video for you anytime. What about you? What's your way of doing them?
I do very similar. Like that exact way. I really took it to heart whenever I was recording and doing a virtual tour. So I would do it just the same way, like I was showing it to you. If you were there with me, my video was very much front door, everything in the house, open all the closets, all the doors. I would even give suggestions in the video. Hey, this room, you could be used for dining or a pool table. It depends on how you want to organize the house, right? And I would help people imagine it and picture it, because it's hard to get scale. I think scale is really hard to convey on video. So what I would do is, I would measure it using the tiles on the floor, or I would put my hand in the picture, in the video. It would be kind of funny me recording me doing this, but it was very informative for them. And they, most of my buyers that did it that way, they really enjoyed it because it gave them space to the house, and then also just made them feel like it could be home.
Exactly.
Right? And so just, if your buyer's out there wondering how that works, ask the agents in the area, in your market, call somebody and say, hey, can you do a virtual tour? Well, we happily do it at this point. It was crucial in COVID because it was, no one could really leave their house. So, definitely perfect that as an agent, but then also don't be afraid to ask for it as a buyer. It's gotten to the point too, even for listings, like we have a virtual tour uploaded of any listings that I do and we do here at the team. It's a virtual tour now. So it's super nice. You go right into Zillow, click through it, you can go tour it, and it's super cool. So there's that capability out there too. So in a hot market too, maybe even people that are local, you can utilize these tools to act fast. Because speed was the biggest thing for the multiple offer situations. If you were the first to get them an offer, you had way less stress, right? Because you're the first in there. Then they may come back to you and say, hey, you have multiple offers. Then we have an opportunity to resubmit, to adjust, to make it attractive as possible.
Man, that was such a great segue to what I wanted to talk about. I wanted to talk about the trends in the market, right? Very important to understand that, whoever moves the quickest for the right home, that's who's going to get it. And a lot of times you're able to beat the competition by getting to the property quicker before everybody else. If your realtor is on top of their game and they're sending you properties and you're a buyer and you're already pre-approved, you're ready to go, very important that you're active and your agent is active to get to these houses before a day or two pass. Because by then, now you have a lot more people competing for the home. A lot of times I won the house because I literally saw it go live at 6 a.m. And by 7:30, I already had it booked for a virtual tour. My client maybe didn't even know that I was gonna go ahead and record this video for them. But I knew their criteria. I knew this was a good one. And I just wanted to make sure that they have first dibs on it and actually get to see it before anybody else did. And I think that's a great strategy to get ahead of the curve and just overall, be ready. If you're ready, when the right house comes, you're good to go. So even in the last video, Jackson, we were talking about being ready as a buyer, right? Having all your stuff together, already understand, your agent should understand what you're looking for. You should already have your pre-approval.
Yep.
I'm talking about this specific market where it's a time crunch and you want to just be on top of it. Pre-approval ready. Your agent is doing the work on the field. So when you do come across that one house, right, then you're ready to pull the trigger and submit an offer before anybody else.
Yeah.
But another tip that every agent should be doing, every single one, on behalf of your client, before you think about submitting an offer on your client's behalf, you should be reaching out to that listing agent first. I feel like a lot of people during the hot times of COVID, they would completely bypass this portion of the transaction just to move in quick and submit an
100%.
offer, not knowing what the competition was like.
No,
As an agent, I want to know, hey, Jackson, you represent the seller. Do you have any offers in hand? Not coming in hand.
Actual,
Have you received it yet? And if so, how many do you have? Will you be sending out an email letting everyone know that we have multiple offers?
Yep. And what's the
Until
deadline?
that goes out, I don't know. And what's the deadline?
Right.
A lot of them maybe plan on having an open house still for the weekend before they decide. So then maybe we need to better our offer or wait till Monday at the last minute
And then submit it.
and then submit something.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that's a huge thing. Is being it quick and fast is crucial, but also knowing how to structure the offer at the very beginning. Like, because if we're just shooting in the dark, literally, like, let's just submit this, see what sticks, you're going to lose. Straight up. And so you got to come in with intention. You got to know what's important to the seller. Because like I said, if the house is completely empty, well, the lease back probably ain't as important to them. Right. So yeah, doing that is going to be important to know ahead of time. And going and just being ready with that pre-approval. The other thing is, if your agent isn't super responsive during a market that we're about to have, you just cut them off. Straight up, if your agent's not responsive, it's crucial here. You've got to be ready to write an offer at 7, 8, 9 p.m., even later. If your buyer says, I'm ready, you got to have the offer written and sent, sometimes in the same 24 hours.
And you know what, man? Another tip I give buyers in a hot market, have a top 1 and 2. Have 2 options.
Yeah. No, that's...
Don't just be so set on one, because you might have to lose this one in order, for you to keep going and win the second one.
Absolutely.
So have your top 2. If
Definitely.
I'm showing 10 houses, we pick the right ones. There's one that they absolutely want the most. That's number 1. And then I would ask, which one is your number 2? And, just in case that happens, you're ready to go to the next one.
Exactly.
Right? Keep those lists coming to the client. The client should be able to see what's going on in the market every day. And if you're a proactive agent, which you should if you're watching his videos, then you should be on top of your game, searching every morning when you wake up. That's the first thing I'm searching for. More houses for my client.
You're absolutely right. I think something important too, like we talked about the deadline. If you're on Saturday, Friday or Saturday, and you saw the home right when it came on the market, you submitted an offer. You're like hype. You're like, man, this is going to be this is the house for me. I want it. But the deadline's on Monday. I'm still looking at houses. Like for if I'm a buyer, but especially as your agent, I'm like, we need to still look at houses because we don't want to waste those 2 days waiting for an answer when we could find our backup. We could find the third option. If we have multiple options, we can knock out multiple in one weekend. Versus having to wait a whole another week for the Thursday to come around and all the new listings hit. You're wasting time. Whereas you could just keep looking and keep submitting. One of them is going to stick, right? So, don't be dead set on one house. Definitely have options, and it's going to feel better whenever you inevitably lose the one that 50 people made an offer on.
And I mean, I know it hurts to lose a home that you love, right? But my advice to you is, it's okay to have feelings and maybe you want to take a break, but don't take too long of a break from searching. If you lost a home and you want to take a month break to get over the fact that you lost it, trust me, you're missing a lot more opportunities as you're waiting.
Well, also, it's only going to get more expensive.
It's only going to get more expensive. Only going to get more buyers and more competition. So get over it. And just push
move on, just keep going
to the next one.
Because a lot of people in COVID, they did that. A lot of people started to lose several homes and they waited and they got priced out. And it was really tough for me because, we're telling them like, hey, keep going. I know it's hard, but you got to buy, because if you don't buy now, you could maybe never buy, right? Because the prices are going to get more expensive, etc. And the rates could go back up like we saw,
And you know what happened to a lot of those people? A month later, after they took a break, that they ended up going for a house that they didn't really love that much.
And that's tough too. You know, that's
they ended
tough
up
too.
settling for something that they didn't even like
Because they were
when they could have just kept it going and get the one that they wanted. That happened a lot.
Yeah, that did happen.
And it hurt me as an agent, but at the end of the day, it worked for them. They still made it work, and it was fine. But I knew for a fact that this was not their first option.
Yeah.
This was option 5 in their list of 10.
Right. So just be cognizant of that. I think too, just to kind of segue it in, you know, as a seller perspective, because we've talked a lot about multiple offers from the buyer end, some strategies, you know, what the market is looking like. But on the seller side, obviously all these sellers out there are like, oh yeah, I'm ready. You know, let's get some multiple offers. We're ready. I'm gonna have so many offers on my house. Well, you have to be careful there too, because that one that comes in very last second on Monday that Pedro sent you could be the best one.
Yep.
And so you had your heart maybe set on one on Friday because that was the first offer you got, but don't rule out the rest of them. So have a good agent that will sit down, have a spreadsheet for you, right? Everything should be, as a seller, you want to look at your net profit, okay? So after everything comes out of each of these offers, which one is netting me the most?
Yep.
But then also something important that I think a lot of sellers mess up, when does it close? Because sometimes that cash offer that closes in 14 days, that maybe is $1,000, $2,000 less off purchase price or net, but it's faster and it's more guaranteed. So you have to be careful there too. Pedro, I'm sure you ran into this. You know, have you ever had you're representing a seller and the buyer comes in, makes an offer wild, like it's $50K over list price, but it's an FHA loan.
Right. So I love what you said, right? And I think one of those things that I wanted to add to that, out of this 10 offers that you received, I'm talking to my client as a seller. Hey seller, out of this 10 offers you received, this 3 here have the best chances of actually closing.
Yep, that's the important part, for sure.
Which ones have the best chance of closing? If I have 5 offers and they're all about the same price range, but one has a bigger down payment on those, maybe above 20%.
Yep.
Maybe they're waiving a few things here and there. That's the one I'm going to suggest the most to my client as a listing agent.
You're right.
I'm paying attention to everything. Don't be the listing agent that sends your seller all the offers. You just send them over the contract like they know everything about it.
Yeah.
Break it down for them.
You have to.
Understand the importance. The sellers may want to go with the highest offer, but they don't know what you know about the market and the actual business of real estate. So that's when you come in as a seller and explain to them, this one might be higher, but because of this type of loan, it will come with a lot more stipulations that could put you in a bad position to maybe not close.
Yep. And the other thing is too, if you have someone that maybe is waiving inspection or waiving appraisal, right? You're less the risk element, right? You're almost, as a listing agent, myself, I find myself like a risk assessor, because I'm like, this one is more money, but it's risky.
Exactly.
Right? This one is really safe, but it's a little bit less money. And so I weigh those options with the seller, and you guys as sellers should do that too.
Exactly.
Because sometimes the less risky option that has more guarantee to close is still maybe the better offer than the one that's more money.
Exactly. Example, let's say 2 offers come in. Your asking price is $230. One comes in at $235 FHA, right, with 3.5% down payment. The other one comes in at $229 cash, closing 15 days.
Yeah.
Which one would you present better? I would probably suggest the cash one.
Yeah.
Because of the chances of actually closing and the fact that you don't need an actual appraisal.
Right, exactly. And it's fast.
Right.
Now, but some people will catch you at that too. And so this is why it's, not all offers are the same. So, because sometimes with cash, they also have the cash to walk away. That's the other thing to think about, man. If someone has $300,000 to just spend on a house, cash money, they could easily walk away with that $300,000 also. So, and not be unhappy. So think about that too. There's a lot of, things to weigh and look at, but I do think that's the market we're going toward, is multiple offers. We're going to see it come, probably by summer again, maybe even earlier, depending on what the rates do. We're going to have more supply, I think, come. Some builders are catching up. A lot more new construction, especially here in San Antonio. But I know across the country, new construction is really ticking up to try to, take care of that supply issue. But still, I think we're going to see multiple. You're going to have better advantages on both sides.
On both sides.
Because you have lesser, lower interest rates for a buyer, but more offers for sellers. It's gonna be wild.
It's a great time.
Yeah.
It's never a bad time to buy real estate. You just have to understand what the current market is doing and adjust to that.
Exactly.
Own it, embrace it. That's the best thing you can do. Don't try to fight it. Embrace it. Get your property, whether it's an investment or if it's your primary residence. Get your property. Don't let this be a barrier to you.
Absolutely.
Just be prepared. Have an agent that understands your goals and someone that's willing to fight for you.
Yep.
And also someone with enough experience to navigate through all these things we just gave you in this video.
Yeah.
I don't know if the new agent that just graduated last week may be equipped enough to negotiate something like this in this type of market.
Right. And, just walk away, from this video basically with, you have got to be careful in the market we're going into. And I think that it's going to be big advantages on both sides. And, just be cognizant of that, and be prepared to maybe pay a little bit more and get that better interest rate. But the biggest thing too is don't wait. We saw it the last 3 years. Everyone's like, I'm going to wait. I'm out. It's COVID, or, oh, the rates are too high, or, oh, the rates are super low and I have to try to beat 50 people. You will always pay more money.
I mean, you know the saying, right? Early bird.
Yeah.
You know the rest. I mean, if you're ready and you're prepared, chances are you will get your dream home for the right price.
Exactly.
Even in a hot market.
And you'll make money on it.
And you'll make money on it.
Yeah.
With that being said, man, I want to thank you for joining me. Guys, thank you for watching. I hope this helps a lot. Be ready. If you have any more questions and want suggestions from us, drop them down in the comment section or send an email or something. We're more than happy to just put out more content. We'll keep it coming every week on a weekly basis.
Absolutely.
If you have any suggestions for videos, drop them as well.
Yep.
And we look forward to seeing you guys next video.
Yep. Like and subscribe. Have a good one.